Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And today we're going to have a special guest with us. But before I bring him on, just want to say a few things. First of all, from the Flippin' Ain't Easy family, for the Flippin' Ain't Easy family that's out in Florida, South, North Carolina, that area, dealing with life and just the horrible tragedy that's going on right now and the last couple of days and continuing into today. My heart goes out to you, and hopefully you guys make it through okay and get back on your feet as soon as possible. Real quick, if you're watching with us today, please participate, put your comments and your questions. We really need your questions to make this live stream work. Put your questions in the chat. And of course, participate, hit that like button. That's really all I ask. If you're watching this after the fact, maybe you couldn't make it today, no big deal. Just make sure you watch the video and hit that like button. That's really all I ask for the time that I take to do this. So today we're going to have a special guest with us today. He has pretty much been a supporter of the channel for quite a while now. He's almost on every live stream that we have. He's a relatively new YouTuber, and he has a very small channel, but I like to pump up smaller channels. That's kind of, we all start off small, right? So after we're done here, go to his channel, give him some love. But I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. We have Ed, the Reselling Rider. How you doing, Ed?
I'm good. How about yourself, John?
Good. So just real quick to let everyone know pretty much who you are. I mean, you participate in the live streams a lot. You do a lot of like shoes, thrifting shoes and various clothing items. You had mentioned to me you bought a pallet of Target items. So kind of give us an idea of what you do as an eBay reseller.
Sure. So I'm Ed. I go by Ed, the Reselling Writer here on YouTube. I am a part-time reseller. I started in 2019, right before my daughter was born. So that's the reason I actually got into selling. At first, I was doing clothing, electronics, anything that you could buy and sell, basically. And eventually, I ended up finding your channel, John. I wasn't interacting much, but that's when I started going a little bit more into liquidation, looking into it. And at the time, I didn't have no capital. So I actually had an opportunity to buy a Target pallet buyout from somebody that I know. I paid $500 for it. It was a bunch of kids' shoes. And then that's kind of how I got introduced into the shoe scene as well, a little bit. And then that's when I found another Instagrammer, got me into shoes even more. And then that's how I followed into the shoe category more than anything else. I still sell clothing and that kind of stuff, but shoes is my main category at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I started off like when I went full time. One of our things that we were doing when we first started full time back in 2019 to supplement the pallets was I was watching Hustler Hacks. I don't know if you know who that is. He does.
I heard of the name.
Yeah, he does. He's a YouTube channel, and he tells everyone about how he does his shoes and this, that, other thing. So I was doing the Ross, the whole Marshall scene, running around trying to find, and I could not. I mean, we're buying stuff, right? But it's just the sell-through rate on the shoes we were buying at the price point we were buying it at. It was just not something that worked out for me. Now, as I was telling you before we got started here, I did buy a couple pallets yesterday. I'm going to be picking them up next week. And I was able to get 324 pairs. It's all case packed, brand new boxes. These are through Target, so it's Art Class, a Target brand of shoes. Now these are like combat boots, but the photo wasn't really all that good of the actual pair of shoes. And I was into them. I'm into them for 50 cents a pair, so I don't see how I can go wrong, being that they're new. My price point is really low, but it's not that I'm going to get back into the shoe game. But when I find something like that's at a great price point, it's really hard to pass on it, especially with Christmas coming up. I could sell those for $7.99 plus the cost of shipping all day long, brand new pair of shoes, and I'll be 10x my money after fees and everything's done. So just kind of what I'm looking at. I know it's not the type of shoes that, say, maybe someone like Tommy Bernard would actually want to pick up and buy. Checking out Instagram the other day, and he just has a ton of different brands. But you know what? It's all about the low buy cost. You know, I thought the same thing about the patches that I bought and made thousands on, and
Mhm.
I'm into them for like 20 cents a patch. So Archie can tell you a lot about that.
Yeah,
So
and for the shoes, I don't know if you gave up completely on Facebook Marketplace. That's where I had the biggest success with that. I call it a failed purchase because I actually went way over than what I was expecting. But
right.
as I had it on eBay, Mercari, and Poshmark for I'd say about 6 months. I only sold about 5 out of the 600 or so pieces that I had.
Wow.
Once I once I put it on Facebook Marketplace, they started flying out like hotcakes, and in 2 months I sold 3/4 of that. So I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
You might have that same success on Facebook Marketplace with that kind of item, but
Yeah.
because on eBay, Mercari, and Poshmark, I had no luck. But maybe on Facebook Marketplace, you might.
Well, I can use a cross lister and cross list it over to Mercari and to Marketplace too. So thanks for the tip. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I figure I got another pallet of toys, and as we speak, I'm the high on a bid right now with about 20 minutes left on a bunch of assorted toys that sometimes you can see what you're buying. It's a non-manifested load, and I know that I got myself into trouble last week with a non-manifested load, but of course I won that case. I don't know if you saw that. I
I
won the
did. I
case.
did.
And so I'm kind of reinvesting that money back into a couple pallets already. And, I'm looking at another one. Jenna's probably finding out about it right now as we speak, but it's okay. Q4 is when you want to load up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not too late. I mean, we're getting into October. Tomorrow begins the last quarter, Q4, and it's not too late you got to get your stuff ready, right? You can't wait
Mm-hmm.
until November and then you're scrambling around looking for merchandise. The plan was, of course, Biscuit Butt was going to go with Jen and I. Hopefully, Carrie from American Arbitrage shows up. But we're going to go to a community yard sale tomorrow morning
Mm-hmm.
out here. There's going to be a community yard sale, and I'm kind of fired up for it. And of course, Biscuit Butt had to ditch me on that. So his loss, I think, because community yard sales are pretty good. Do you source by yard sale, or are you just thrift store and pallets?
So I actually do a flea market on Saturdays, and the reason for that is because right now I have so much stuff that I overdid it with so many mistakes when I was getting into shoes. So I'm pretty sure I have around 100 pairs of shoes that I made mistakes on,
Okay.
where I got when I was barely new. So my plan is I took pictures of all my death pile that I had. I had over 200 pairs of shoes. I finished that this whole week. I was on it this week because I know Q4 is coming up already,
Right.
and so what I'm gonna do is tomorrow I'm going to the flea market again. I'm getting my usual stuff because I do have connections at the flea market where they basically hook me up. For me,
Okay.
it's actually a good price, even though for others it might think it's not. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go through all my bins and bags that I have, and I'm gonna just dispose of whatever I have so I can make space for the new ones and get fresh inventory with my new knowledge that I have now, because I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from Tommy. I've learned a lot from this whole community. So my knowledge has expanded in just a few months that I've been doing, trying to be more aggressive in my reselling business than I was before, because I am part time. I'm not taking it as seriously as I should be, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to just balance, kids, family, full time job, just everything in general.
Yeah, it's all a grind. Collectively, it's a lot. I don't have the kids like you have running around, but still, like today, just from one task to the next, it was just scrambling around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm done here, it's going to be a lot of the same. That's kind of the way I roll. There's just a lot going on just in life, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
totally get it. But yeah, you're going to learn. I mean, you think you've learned a lot so far. I mean, the day you stop learning, there's going to be a problem, because you should be
Mm-hmm.
learning constantly, what works, what doesn't. Of course, eBay helps us in that learning process because they're changing all kinds of things here and there. Now, I put out a video yesterday with the eBay fall seller update, and
Mm-hmm.
it was probably my favorite update that they put out, because they're not screwing around with categories. They're at least they haven't told us. I mean, it may happen, but it isn't because they announced it. They're going to allow us to finally, just work within the system they have in place without any surprises, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think that is the best part of the update. Yeah, you have things like they're going to introduce that messenger where it's going to be Instead of like an email, you're getting a message like a Facebook thread back and forth between your buyer. And some of you are using it. I've been using it on the app, but it's going to be on the PC. Of course, global shipping is going to change into something a little bit about the same, but different, maybe cheaper for your buyer, which is a plus, right? And the whole 24 photos. I mean, unless you're selling a car and you want to show every nook and cranny of the vehicle, to me, I don't see, in many cases why you'd need that many photos. And then, of course, the video feature, which I used the other day, and I think it has a place where it really can set your listing apart from, say, someone else who's just taking photos. What do you think about those changes?
So for me, like you said, the thing that I liked the most was that they really only announced 3 things and nothing had to do with item specifics, category changes, or any of that stuff. Because like we learned the last 2 Q4s, that was just all bad. The thing I have been using the messaging system, as you said, and I actually do like it a lot more because it does help me see the messages beforehand instead of having to go through a bunch of messages that might not even be related.
Right.
And then, of course, when you have the bad buyers, it makes it easier to make videos about them because they're just bad.
Right.
And then, because like I actually have a question for you on that, because something somewhat similar that might have happened to you happened to me today. And yeah, other than that, I like the fact that it's very minimal what they're doing. And the 24 pictures, I actually do like. Like I saw Tommy's Instagram that of all the shoes that he had, and they all look good. And the thing about me is sometimes I mistakenly get shoes that have flaws that I can't show with just 12 pictures. So it gives me the opportunity to actually take close-ups of all that stuff. And surprisingly, on the opposite of what common belief, flawed shoes actually do sell. Of course, they sell cheaper, but they do sell. And even though it was a mistake, I'm still getting profits from my mistake. So that's the reason why I do pick them up sometimes if they're in relatively good condition. So with 24 pictures, I'm able to actually show every single flaw that will protect me with an eBay case, just in case. Saying I was like, oh, well, they didn't show this flaw. I was like, what are you talking about? It's picture 18 instead of now. It's like, oh, I couldn't put it because I only have 12 pictures. So for me, it does have a place with shoes. With clothing, maybe not so much. Like you said, you can only do so much with clothing, but with shoes, you want to be as detailed as possible because you already know buyers open returns and false returns for whatever reason they want.
Exactly. And for me, I think there's a happy medium in, of course, you want more than one photo. I don't know necessarily if you need 24, but somewhere in between is the happy medium. And I think at some point the algorithm, and I know the algorithm is looking at how many photos you use. Someone that uses 1 photo versus 6 is not going to get as much. That particular component of the listing is not going to favor them as much as, say, someone using 6 photos. So definitely. So that's good. It's good for the buyer experience on that as well. Real quick, and I know you were going to tell me something that happened to you today, but
yes,
just noticed that one of the things that I didn't see until just kind of looking and reading today is that they're now reminding the buyers a little bit more aggressively to leave feedback for your seller. And I think as a seller, I don't like that at all. I just don't like it at all. I would rather, now there's some buyers who probably will disagree with me. I would rather never get a feedback of any kind from any buyer and just sell the item and move on to the next customer and don't worry about any feedback than to have a buyer reminded to leave feedback because maybe they're on the fence. Maybe their experience was neutral. And maybe that's the experience they're going to report is, well, not too good, not too bad, or maybe even a negative experience that they were going to let go. And now they thought, well, while I'm here and eBay's reminding me, I guess I'll leave my experience. What do you think about that?
Sorry about the noise.
Don't worry about it.
So it kind of goes into also what happened with me today, but you're right. It's if they have a good experience, they'll leave you a feedback. But as we know, most of the time, if they have a bad experience, that's the first thing they're gonna do, a negative feedback. And if they're constantly reminding them to, even say they forgot about.
Oh, you're freezing up on us here. So I will allow you to fix that and we will jump in. I'll keep an eye on your stream down here and I'll put you back in the stream when you get that fixed. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes we have that happen. And that's just a part of being live. So, as far as another thing, I think I mentioned it on my video that, if you are trying to do variations, certain categories don't even let you do variations anymore. So just something to consider. There is a fix for that temporarily, but it's just one of those things. If Ed's come back with us, no, he's not back yet. So let's get to see who's in here. I know No One Design wanted to be with us today. They're in North Carolina dealing with the weather, so they weren't going to make it today. They left us a message saying, hey, I wish we were here. So our thoughts are with you guys. Biscuit Butts in the house, and I think we have Ed back, right? Nope, we don't have Ed back yet. My lovely wife, Jenna's in the house. Hey, Flippin' fam, hope you all are well and safe. Let's see. Kelly Gar 34740 says hello from Prairie Lake, Minnesota. Donna says, hey, guys. And Morty the One says, hello, everyone. Lee Hayes says, watched your eBay fall winter update video. Is GSB Hub moving from Kentucky? I don't think they are. I mean, they might, but to me, it's just a lot of infrastructure they'd have to deal with. I guess we'll find out if we start running international labels that are now to a different location for eBay. Then I guess what we would, but I really don't think that's part of their changes. Something to keep an eye on. We have Tommy says, Ed told me he was going to stream live from bed. Well, let down. I just can't see that. So now speaking of that, Tommy, sent you a message on IG. Let me know if you want to do a live on a Friday, and would love to get you on the program and to pick your brains. So let me know about that. Emporium Etc. says, greetings from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Ooh, the infamous Kenosha. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate that. No One Design says, just busted out the Jenny and we got power, but our ISP is still spotty. Might get dropped, but wanted to watch it live while the storm passes. Awesome. Well, thank you. If you can stay safe and keep your generator outside, because I know a lot of people were using their generator inside. They were afraid people were going to steal their generator, and it caused some people to lose their life out in Florida. So yeah, as long as you're doing it safe, then thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Let's see. We have Tiffany M. Law is in the house. Hello, everyone. And Tommy says Facebook definitely has a much larger audience for lower brands. Want to know what you think, though, Tommy? Is it worth my time buying a lot like that? I know you buy shoes, and your buy cost is the way to make money. And what's the most that you'd buy for just an off brand like that? Knowing the sell-through rate's probably going to be very low. I'm going to have to put it on multiple platforms, but that's okay, because if I'm into it for 50 cents, I mean, I probably could have a yard sale and make money on that lot. So want to know what you think, since you're the expert, or at least you're a resident expert in shoes. And I saw a lot of your IG posts. I really, really think it's cool how you have that set up, with your shoes, and you get big bunches of shoes. You go through it, you clean it, you evaluate. I love that model. So we got Ed back in the house.
I apologize for that.
It's okay. At least you made it back. That's all that matters. So let me ask you, what was the thing you're going to tell me? What happened to you today?
Okay, so I ended up selling just one sandal, a single pair of sandal. I remember I mentioned it to you on Monday's live.
Yeah, single sandal.
One single sandal. So
Okay.
I ended up getting a message today from the buyer saying there's only one sandal. And then I clearly stated, I was like, yes, did you not read the header, the description? There's a reason the picture shows only one sandal. And I'm not frozen, am I?
No, you're still here.
Dang it, not again.
No,
sorry, guys.
You're not frozen. You are not frozen. Okay, well, he just hit the eject button. So that's what happens with these live streams. Sometimes we have that happen. So thanks for everyone for hanging in here. I certainly appreciate it. Let's see who else we have here with us today. Savage Pickers is in the house. Awesome. Tommy says he took 3 truckloads to the dump yesterday. Gave me a ton of room. It's so hard as a hoarder, reseller, to throw stuff away. but God, it feels amazing. Now, is that something that you weren't able to donate? Is that something that maybe you couldn't have lotted out, like a lot of shoes, reseller lot, that type of thing? Curious about that. But I think sometimes we have that, we call it a death pile, right? We have that pile of stuff that we'd almost rather throw out than to have to deal with. At some point when we bought it, it was appealing, but now when we get into the phase of listing it, it's not so appealing. And I certainly know what you're talking about. It's kind of happening with those records, but I just powered through it. And I listed even though you guys told me not to, I listed a variation listing with a video. I got kind of creative, even though I didn't need to do it, but sold 6 items this morning, 6 records that I think because I got the boost, having a variation listing, may not have sold 6 records. So awesome. I'm just trying to get rid of them, but I don't want to just dump them like you did there. Noah Designs is question about Prime Lister. Is the Posh Automator included with the cross lister or separate? Also, the yearly price bill at once or monthly, like how eBay bill us monthly. I think they give you the 2 options to do the whole package for the year, or you could do it monthly. I think it's a little bit less if you pay them off for the year. And there's 2 levels. There's one level that has just the basic cross listing tools, and there's the other one. It's like $10 more a month that gives you all the Posh automated stuff, where you can basically have it, share your closet, just at a touch of a button, go in, select the automator, and it'll go in and share your listings. I know that one time when we were doing Poshmark, quite frequently, it was like 2 years ago, Jenna was running that account, and she went out and got this app that was $10 a month that did that same automated process for you. And this is all kind of tied into the listing tool itself. And I think, especially with these shoes now that I have coming, might just start getting more, and I have clothes on my store right now, but get more of that cross-listed over to that platform and see how it goes. T-Bone Capone says, I only use 3 photos. I think it depends on the category. Like for instance, on my albums, right? I have 3 photos. I have a photo with the vinyl out of the sleeve, right? Both are displayed. And I have one of the front of the cover and one of the back of the cover of the album. And that's it. That's just it. And it works. I'm making, for the size of store, for the type of items that I'm selling, I am starting to generate, and it's because I'm putting more, I'm getting a little bit more involved in that account too. And that is helping that store. So, and some of you guys had also mentioned on the video I put out where eBay hates me. I really think something's going on there. My sales went from, I think I had a $500 day about a week ago, a few $200-300 days in sales, now down to just hardly anything. I think I have 1 sale today. So really, really concerned about that. And I don't know when that's going to end. Maybe when I stop, doing eBay videos, I guess. I don't know. But I really think there's something there to it. We have Ed back. Let's see what's going on here.
I am on my direct connection now, so hopefully
the hurricane hit LA.
No, I just have bad. I have bad luck with this for some reason.
It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I apologize to everybody.
No, it's okay. It's happened before, and I just have to get in here and just ad lib, and that's just more of me yapping that people have to listen to. So, so how did that go down? So she didn't like the fact that she got that one sandal, right? So she was going to have to hop around.
Yeah. So the listing picture and description header, everything said single left sandal only. And so they ended up buying. Sent me an offer, $20 plus shipping. I accepted, and then did through the normal routine. Messaged me. I says like, "Hey, it was only for 1 sandal." I made it very clear. There's a reason. The picture was 1, description, everything was 1, right? And then they started using profanity, and then I was still trying to be professional about it. And I was like, "Hey, there's only 1 sandal. You have 900 feedback. You know how the return process works. I offer 30-day free returns." And then all of a sudden, they say, "Your mother must be happy. I want a refund now." After that, I left it alone.
Wow.
Come the next day, and this is what I would ask, what would you do, John? And of course, everyone here in the chat. I saw that I got a positive feedback, and I always read my feedback because I'm just
Oh,
interested to see what
I
it
love
is.
it. I love it. I
So
love it.
they had a positive feedback saying F F A, just a bunch of F's and M's, but all the bad words. I don't want to say what they actually are.
Okay, so it was a negative within a positive. So
Yes,
not
it
only
was a bunch.
cannot read the listing, they can't even figure out how to use the feedback process.
Well, so that's what I was gonna say right now. They did that, and then they said they reported me for trying to scam them. I wasn't trying to scam them. So I'm pretty sure you're aware that in order for a buyer to leave you a negative feedback, they have to wait the week. And I think this buyer was so impatient, they just didn't want to wait that week.
Now, is that a thing now? It is a thing now.
It
They have to
is.
wait a
It is a
week.
thing.
Okay.
They have to wait a week.
eBay, you know what? Thank you for listening. Another thank you. I heard someone had sent me a message. I couldn't confirm it that you had to wait a week. I guess what I'm going to do is to test that out is tomorrow I'm going to order my supplies from eBay, and then
Yeah,
I'm going to attempt to leave a negative feedback and see if it makes me wait. I just want to
yeah.
see from a buyer's perspective what it says, and I'll try to report it to you guys. Now, to answer your question on this, and I know you're probably going to get a lot of different answers.
Well,
The
that
number
wasn't the
one
question
thing that you
actually.
well, the thing that you mentioned so far that's music to my ears. They left you a positive feedback. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can't leave you a negative. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'd want to do, and of course you can call in and mess with the rep, but they're going to do the same thing that you're going to do. Go on to the feedback removal tool. Okay. And I don't know exactly the four options that are presented, but there should be an option where buyer misstated or something that they stated incorrect feedback or something. They are not allowed to curse at you. They cannot leave a negative within a positive feedback. And just like you really can't leave a positive within I mean, I guess you could, but a negative feedback, you can get it removed on those grounds that they left a negative positive. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
and,
if
and
you
that's
want to,
actually and that's actually
yeah.
what I was gonna tell you, because I actually went the eBay for business route.
Uh-huh.
I messaged them saying exactly what happened, profanity and all that stuff, and then they got back to me, says like, oh, I see exactly what you mean, and they actually mentioned it too. I didn't mention it to them. They says like, your listing clearly says that it was only for one sandal. I'll have that taken care of. The comment was removed, but I was still able to keep the positive feedback. So all that comment says now is eBay removed this comment, but I still have that positive feedback.
Now I'll take it a step further. Once feedback's left for me, because see, that's the thing in the back of my mind. That's the motivator, right? You want to have the completed transaction where the buyer leaves a positive feedback and you never hear from them again. Once they leave a positive feedback, um, of course, they have a question about the item or something. Of course, I'll of course respond. But if they're at that level, I'm done communicating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to, I won't even tell them that, hey, I've got a 30-day full 30-day refund policy, or not refund but return policy.
Return.
I'll let them. They have, what you said, 900 feedback.
Mm-hmm.
They better
Yep.
learn to figure that out. So at this point, I would say cease all communication with them. They send you a message, I wouldn't even respond to it. I know we talked about responding to your buyer in a timely manner, but for me, I'm done, moving on, and blocking that buyer. Of course, you don't want them to come back and buy anything from you again, or by accident, because they can't read a listing. They're probably gonna, they might be in the market for more sandals and buy yours by accident. You don't want to deal with people like that. And it was a beautiful thing that they left you a positive feedback on
Yeah,
that.
and that's what impatience does. When someone is just truly impatient, they're gonna find some way just to get their bad comment around. But thankfully, eBay does give us a workaround for that as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of the good things that came out of this.
awesome. That's awesome to hear. So that's good news. I like good news. I would it would have been more troubling if they would have left you a negative, with polite words. Again, if they leave you a negative with all that profanity, that's music too. It may. I think that there is a slight hit on your account whenever you get a negative, but hey, a positive, I don't think that's going to hurt. That's not going to hurt you at all, actually.
Give
Maybe
me a
reply.
quick second, John.
Sure, go ahead. So let's see. We have Mark Sudick says, thank you very much for all the info and help you guys give. everyone, please keep all the great work. That's what we do. Enjoy helping people. So thank you for tuning in to the channel. There's lots of things you guys can be doing right now. The fact that you're just tuning in with us to chat eBay and hang out, that is totally awesome. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of stuff you could be watching and trying to figure out for your own business. End of the week, unwinding, spending time with your family, but yet you're here. We only have 48 people watching, so hopefully we can kind of pump that up and get more people. There's nothing you can do to fix that, but the fact that you're engaging, hitting that like button will push this out to more people. So if you could do that, I'd certainly appreciate that. Let's see. Jenna says there's another community garage sale on the 8th in another great neighborhood. I'll share when. Yeah, and right now things are starting to cool down in the Vegas area, so people are starting to have these community yard sales, and guys, got to take advantage. Now, if you're in Vegas, don't bother. Just stay home. More stuff for me, but for the rest of you guys around the country, definitely get your sourcing in. Right now is the time. If you haven't bothered, if you kind of waited it out, there's a number of people who actually closed their store through August, September. Got to get that stuff sourced. The worst thing you want to do is find that the limited amount of items that there are out there to source, you're fighting other people for. So I've seen it, done it, and you don't want to have to experience it. Let's see. Tommy says, I took 3 truckloads to the dump yesterday, and we already talked about that. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can get through to where I'm not repeating myself. Tommy says, how many people going to get banned for variations? They don't play around. Reps are clueless on the policies and should never give advice that is going to cost accounts. At first they're going to warn you. They're going to warn me, say, we removed this listing. You're not allowed to have variations. They've already started to fix the problem by taking the variation option off. But I thought it was very interesting that the rep came back. This is one of the Philippines reps, so I'm not expecting any extra help other than what they're scripted to say. And they said, well, try, because I gave them an example. Why is this listing with variations in this category, but yet variations aren't allowed to happen? They said, well, why don't you just try to sell similar? And I was able to do that. So, my thing is this. There's a lot of things that eBay says not to do. Okay. In fact, I think we break the law every day in this country. Somebody here is watching the stream is probably breaking the law as we speak. Maybe you're crossing the street while you're watching this live stream at a location where you're not supposed to cross the street, but yet we do it. Okay. You gotta, of course, be careful with your account. So like the whole thing that eBay sent me, you can't sell this health and beauty stuff without the ingredients listed. Now, we know 90% of the people who sell the health and beauty stuff don't list their ingredients in their item description like they're saying I need to do. But for me, I'm just probably going to shy away from selling health and beauty altogether. Once I get that warning, it's time to move on to something else. And that's kind of what's going to happen here. I get a warning today, then guess what? I'm going to go in and I'm just going to make individual listings for those albums, and all is going to be fine with the world. So I'm not too worried about that. And that's my play account anyway. It's not my main account. I'm listing these on, do a lot of things. I experiment on a lot of things, and all's well with that account. So it's still top rated. So I'm happy with that. Noah Design 2 says, oh, by the way, there's this one thing on the eBay app. If you sold an item, that sold item pops up in the sell tab in the app asking you to promote that sold item. Why would you want to promote a sold item? Now, one thing that bothers me is if you're listing in the app, let's say you're launching an auction. Now, again, they default at auction when you're listing in the app for whatever reason, which enforces to me that you still want to get some auctions in your listing mix. But when you're done listing the auction, it asks you if you want to promote your auction. And I just think that's a big, big money grab. In fact, I think depending on how much you're listing the item for in the auction, it's like $3, $3.50. Someone sent me an email the other day saying they wanted $7, whether the item's sold or not. And to me, that's horrible. They should never charge anything unless the item sells. So let's see. And then as far as my message to Tommy, I must be in the dumb folder they send everyone. I haven't communicated. I'll check it later. Yeah, I might be in your spam folder on Instagram, something like that. Because it was a few days ago, actually about a week ago, I've been eager to contact you about getting on the show. So let me know. If you don't want to be on it, then don't. But I think you do, and I hope you do. And love to have you because you're an awesome, uh, member of this community. You participate in our live stream. You have a lot of wealth to offer, and I'm hopeful to have you on the program. So let me know. Facebook Marketplace is great to move lower brand items. I use Facebook Marketplace to sell off stale inventory. And it's something that I think I've listed one thing. It was a lot of pet supplies that I got into a pallet in one of my Amazon pallets. I didn't want to list, $10 here, $10 there. I sold like 10 items for like $40 plus shipping, and it went well. I just never returned back to it. But now that I'm getting a lot of stuff in bulk, and let's hope that I don't get 324 pairs of the same size shoe, because that'll be a disaster. But assuming I'm getting different sizes, I have different avenues to, like the variation listing on eBay, little Poshmark, little Mercari, little Facebook Marketplace. And what's cool is, again, you can check the link below. I use Prime Lister. Ed, who's waiting very patiently, he's coming back on the stream here. He uses another program, and I won't discuss it, even though he's sporting their shirt and they cost a lot more. There you go. So that's an option. Whenever you're stuck with a lot of inventory, it's time to branch out. And even slower moving inventory, look for other eyes to get your stuff in front of. Mm-hmm. And let's see what else we have. Looking for some questions. Ant White says, great week for me so far. 2 days of the week, almost $900. Weekends are always best. And awesome. This has been kind of a really weird week. My other account is doing about the same as my main account. And I think sales for me are just not so good right now. Hopefully that improves, and it's not based on my account. It's based on what I'm doing or what I'm selling and what I'm doing wrong, and not maybe being stuck. Like, my traffic seems to be fine, but there's a lot of answers there. I'm trying to get down to the bottom of, but hopefully I can figure it out before Q4 really gets rolling. What about you? How's your sales?
So my sales have been so-so. On eBay, they actually have not been that great. I haven't been listing much. I haven't listed anything in about 2 weeks. Oh, wow. But Mercari and Poshmark have been way more active than eBay lately. And of course, eBay likes people to be active, and I haven't been active. So that's what I'm assuming is happening. But the sales that I have been getting on eBay have been the higher dollar sales. Mm-hmm. I haven't been getting too many low dollar sales. So it's good and bad at the same time, but I'm hoping I have everything up at least before October 15th, or at least 3/4 of the way of October, because I believe that's when the holiday season or holiday shopping might begin. Mm-hmm. So this is actually my first Q4 with shoes alone, or as my primary focus. So I'm really interested to see how I'm going to be doing.
Well, what kind of volume are you doing on Poshmark right now? I'm curious for someone who hasn't been bothered to list in like a year, is Poshmark doing well for you?
For me, it is. It's actually my second highest grossing platform. Okay. I mean, eBay, of course, is far ahead of that. But like you said, you want to have your eyes in different places. You just don't want to have it in one egg. And Poshmark has been amazing for me. I have gotten some of my highest grossing, highest sales from there. I think I got in my third highest sale from there, which was a $220 pair of shoes.
Yeah, I know they get a lot of high-end sales on Poshmark. It was always the case. It seemed like you can get more for your item on Poshmark than you could any platform, but just the volume of traffic was a lot less.
Yeah, and of course on Poshmark you do want to price higher because of the 20% fee. But what I do like about Poshmark is the fact that it's that flat fee of $744 right now for all buyers, which is good for a certain amount of shoes that are over 3 pounds. But I like it. I really do. I wish Poshmark had eBay's traffic. I would definitely focus more on Poshmark if that were the case.
Who's your internet carrier, by the way?
Spectrum. AT&T.
AT&T? You need to call them and ask them to get you off of the reseller internet package.
I think my Wi-Fi is horrible because I have security cameras and just a bunch of stuff connected to it. My desktop is connected directly, so that's why it's a lot better now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have the Gigablast. They call it Cox Communication Gigablast. It's like you get 1 gig of like bandwidth, and it's well more than what I need. I'm actually paying extra because we stream so much that pretty much everything we do, we watch TV, just maybe have like a YouTube video while I'm working out in the garage. We stream so much between the three of us here that it's using more than a gig a month. So that's a lot. It's a lot.
Same here.
Let's see here. And then Noah Design says you must be from the East Coast of Los Angeles, is where he's from.
I was born in New York.
Okay.
I was born in New York. No. I go there a lot. No, I live in the relatively decent neighborhood, but if you hear gunshots, it's normal.
Oh, okay. Here's Noah Design. So, John, you're looking very red today. It makes me want to go play golf. I want to go play golf too. There's everything going on, the yard sales, this, that, and the other thing. Just really haven't been able to get away, but it's getting to the point where I'm itching. So probably next weekend, I'm thinking I'll get out there. You got to get outside. You get stuck inside reselling all day long, every day, and I don't think it's healthy. You got to get out and do some stuff. Tommy says, all about time. I'm out of time. No time. Kids keep me busy. Need headspace and basement space more than the items. All stuff I don't want to deal with. Well, let me know. Hey, no big deal. I know you're busy. I'm busy. We're all busy. But if you can take a moment, I'll even work around your schedule. Let me know when you want to get on, and we'll do it. Edward McHugh says, so on your channel, you would prefer no thumbs up. It's the same as eBay's feedback. You know what? It's not a big deal. If we're comparing the feedback on eBay to the feedback on YouTube, I think it's a little different in that, yes, I think you might be onto something. The more feedback you get, let's say a seller with thousands of feedback is going to get a little bit more, a little bit more presence in search than someone that maybe only has 10. But I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather that feedback be organic or just not at all. If they're compelled to leave a positive feedback because I gave them a positive experience, then fine. But I don't want my buyer to be pushed into leaving some kind of feedback. Just like I wouldn't want YouTube to, halfway through the video, give you a pop-up that you have to click off, reminding you to hit the like button. I do that on my videos in the bottom, but I don't want YouTube to force anyone to do something. If you're compelled to hit the thumbs up or thumbs down, more power to you. I would only hope that, the time we take that you do that. But I get your point. But I think it's a little different between both platforms.
Yeah. And I also don't like those emails that eBay sent to remind buyers that they have 30 days to return an item.
Right. It's that's horrible too. It's like, well, you know what? I haven't even been using it. I got it. I opened it. It's been on the counter. I forgot all about it. But now that you mentioned it, I can get $20 back. Okay, I'm gonna send it back. And this seller has free returns, and it's a return you may not have had if eBay would have just left it alone. And I guess another point I'll make is that eBay's got so much to work on to improve the buying experience and the selling experience. Why are they focusing on that? I mean, yes, I think what they did with, if someone is leaving a negative feedback, put the buyer in timeout to let them think about it before they go that far, give them a chance to communicate with the seller. I think that's beautiful. But anything else is just to encourage them to interact with you. Encourage them to come back and buy from you. I'd rather see that than to encourage just let's see what you really think. I don't know, maybe an internal survey from a buyer, that type of thing is more, in my mind, warranted. But I don't want them to, because you can't make everyone happy. You can make the perfect listing. You can describe it, that one sandal perfectly, and that one sandal might fit her foot perfectly. But the fact that she didn't read or whatever, maybe she only needed one sandal, they're going to find something to not like. And maybe they're just going to keep their feedback to themselves. Well, I would rather that happen than them to be pushed into leaving what they really think. That's just my thoughts.
And I really do like Joe's idea where they need to have a specific people to actually look over all these false INAs before they even can return it because, as we all know, they're all false. They literally say right there in the description that's like, oh, I just didn't like it, but the return, I ain't that. Those are
Yeah.
people that know how to work the system.
Yeah. And someone noticed that I got the red going on and you got the blue going on. So that's pretty funny.
Right.
Sam says I only ever left one negative on eBay, and that was for eBay packaging. Oh, the eBay packaging store, huh?
I see a lot of those.
You know what? I think a couple quarters ago, I ordered their boxes, and their boxes came, and I got about halfway through, and they weren't even attached. So I found myself having to tape that side of the box just to get it to function. And I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to bother. Right now, had eBay sent me a reminder, I'm in the middle of listing and here comes a reminder to leave feedback, I might have stopped and said, oh, yeah, well, while we're at it, they left me, they sent me dysfunctional boxes. But I do want to see, though, how that works. I want to take a screenshot. Of course, I'm not going to follow through with the negative feedback, but I want to see what it says to me, because if that is happening where they're making the buyer at least wait, and how many times have you left an email, wanted to send an email where you're pretty PO'd and you just, is this something in the corporate world? A lot of times you get mad about something and you want to fire back your response. They say, type it up, go through that process, but delete it before you send it. And I think that's the kind of thing. And your buyer got so impatient that they just said, I'll send a positive. Surprised they didn't send a neutral, but
me too.
That's pretty cool. And like Tommy says, sellers can't leave a negative positive. Buyers can do whatever they want other than cursing or lying. And sellers can leave that negative positive until it gets removed. I see that there's a big topic about it. I don't personally subscribe to it. It's just, to me, I just move on. I'd rather take the same time, leave a reply for whatever feedback they've left me, and just move on. If it's a negative within a positive, like you got, use the tool, get it removed, and move on, that kind of thing. But it's the fact that they've left that feedback means that they can't go in and wait the 7 days and then revise their feedback and make it into a negative. It's just done.
If someone leaves you a neutral, do you reply to it or do you just leave it alone?
I'll reply underneath it, and remind them of our return policy, and and even try, just try to maybe put yourself in a good light, if that makes sense. I mean, provided you've done everything you should be as a seller, but just put a reminder that we do have a 30-day return policy. If the buyer's not happy, they can always send it back, that kind of thing. Aunt White says, I've sold hundreds of items, but only have received like 44 reviews. And, and I think this is a mistake. eBay's starting to do it on your behalf. Don't be that seller that harasses the buyers. I'm not saying you're going to do it, Aunt White, but there's some sellers that are, you see it in the forums all the time. I've left them 3 messages. They still haven't left feedback. What do I do? Move on. Some people just don't want to leave feedback, or some people may not have something positive to say about what you're selling.
And some people might get so annoyed by that they might actually leave you a negative just because of that. And then eBay's going to say, I was like, oh, well, it's their opinion. They're entitled to it.
Bad communication, right? So we have American Arbitrage, Carrie, in the house. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you can make it to the community sale. Hit me up on Instagram. Let's coordinate, go have lunch or something afterwards and see how well we've done. I'm going to have Jenna with me. Of course, Archie had to back out at the last minute, and so boo on him. But that just means there's going to be more things for us to grab. So let's do that. T-Bone Capone says sales are slowing due to Fed rate increase. I just think that, if we didn't have an economy issue right now, I think we would see even the summer sales would have been better. I think there is a component to it, but there's still people with wants and needs and extra money above and beyond their bills. Not as many, but there are still some. And those people were all competing for their business. So all these little things we do to our listings puts us ahead of the average seller. And, have you just launch a listing. Don't do anything special. Don't research your price. Don't even see if it's an item that sells. Well, then you're going to have some problems.
And I think I think it's just too that last year a lot of people had a lot of extra income coming in, so they were able to get all these wants more, and I think that's why we had a very successful Q4, Q3, even probably a Q2. That a lot of people were home just shopping online, so
Mm-hmm.
they had the extra income, and maybe in the next month you might people might be getting a little bit more extra sales from California because we are getting a little another extra money here. So
Oh,
make sure
okay.
your
Okay.
listings are up.
Okay. Well, and Chucky says Mercari people just like and then lowball. But see, Chucky, I got to tell you, my item gets its first month on eBay exclusively. Okay. So I don't even bother with the cross listing on new listings. I just let it go organically. My goal is that item moves in the first 30 days that I have it listed on eBay. So when I do every day, I go in and I sort my items by when it's about to end. So like before we came on here, spent a good 30 minutes going through and I'd find the item that's going to end in 5 minutes, right? All the items that have red under the time left, and I'll go in and do that drop down, right click on sell similar, end the item, go in and fix whatever I think needs to be fixed, change the price, maybe the title needs to be changed around, maybe I didn't use the best photo for my gallery photo, and I'll launch it. I'll do all that, and then I'll go back in and all the stuff that I just launched as with this process I was telling you about, I'll go in and do a cross listing over to Mercari. So now that becomes in my mind a clearance item. So if someone wants to lowball me and I've got, maybe the buyer's paying for that label and I'm into it for $5 and they want to give me 10 and I was trying to get 20, I'll be happy to sell them that item.
And the thing about Mercari, you actually can't lowball somebody as much as you can. I think at max they only let you do like 30%. On
Mm-hmm.
Poshmark is where everybody does lowball you. You're asking $100, they send you an offer for $10 or
Yeah.
$20. So Mercari actually does have a cap on how much you can actually send an offer for. And if it's too low, they send a pop-up message saying it's like your offer's too low, send something else.
Right, right. And I've sold so many items. Ever since this cross listing, I've gone from I was about 725 listings in my store to now I'm up to 575. And honestly, I was down to 540. And it's only because my sales have been slow on eBay, where my daily listing has caught up and surpassed my sales on all the accounts. And it kind of, thank you for that being there. I mean, I'm talking like what $1,500 in sales now for what 2.5 months of listing that it wasn't selling on eBay. And as soon as I listed it on Mercari, it was just a day or two later. Here I get an offer. Every day. I'm getting offers from people on Mercari, and guess what? It may seem like a low ball, but I'm looking at it at like you go to Walmart and find that item for $1. That has that
Yep.
yellow tag, right? They're moving that merchandise. They're trying to recoup as much of it that they can.
Yeah, it's like Mercari is known for the low dollar items, while eBay is like right in the middle, and I think Poshmark is seen like maybe a little bit more higher end. Like each
Mhm.
platform is designated for a certain group, in my opinion.
Yeah, right, right. So T-Bone Capone says traffic equals sales, right? And that traffic, that's why eBay to me is still the king or queen, however you want to put it, of the reselling platforms. And we're not talking about Amazon because they're just a totally different animal. But of anything not Amazon, eBay is still there. They surpass all the other sites. And it's not because of their policies, not because of their processes, it's because of their traffic. If their traffic fell overnight to, let's say, match Mercari or let's say Poshmark, I would probably prefer one of the other platforms if it was
Yeah,
all the same. So that's what separates eBay from the rest of the competition.
and of course
Um,
the 3 day limit on the return. That's by far my favorite of the rest.
yeah, oh, that's awesome. And the thing is, you don't ever really hear people saying, I'm a Mercari seller and I want to cross post my stuff over to eBay, right? eBay is the starting point because of the fact that there's a lot of traffic. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're new to reselling, maybe looking into the idea of flipping something, eBay should be your starting point, unless you just rather deal with Mercari and just move stuff. Maybe you have like a lot of off brands, a lot of the third party stuff, and then maybe, but eBay still is the king.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany MLA says, my sales have been so slow on eBay this week. I'm new at reselling, just 4 months, nearly 250 listing, but I'm hesitant to get to store because of such inconsistent sales. Well, a lot of people, there's a lot of people that'll say you don't need a store, and you really don't necessarily need a store. You need good product to sell. So let's establish that. That's first and foremost. Get good stuff to resell. But if you've got whatever you got to sell and it's just not moving as fast as you'd want it to sell, to me, you're looking at the coupon aspect, not so much the private coupon unless you're niched out, but the public coupon that'll actually embed in your listing and it'll give your unique code that they enter in at checkout. It gives them that incentive. Like, look, I'm looking at two items. The two items I'm looking at, this seller has it for 20. This seller has it for 20. They look to be the same. This particular seller has a 5% off, 10% off coupon. That might be the difference between them buying your item and someone else's. Markdown sales, I swear to you, I believe in markdown sales. They, in my opinion, give your store a boost. They give the rest of your listings a boost. And every time I forget to, set my markdown sale, my sales fall off. So don't know what you think about that, Ed.
Well, for me too is learn your shipping, because you can do calculated shipping all you want, but if somebody sees 25 and 25, very same item that you have, and they see that your shipping is $16.10, while the other person's is $9.99, because they know what their shipping is, they're gonna go with that $10 shipping because they want to save that $6. So it's every little dollar. If you learn your shipping, you'll definitely be able to get more sales as well.
Plus, a lot of people sort by lowest to highest when they're, so they'll get that best match search. And like, if you use that lowest to highest sort, it defaults that way. I haven't had to go in when I made a lot of the videos to talk about best match search. I'm in the middle of a video. I'm like, oh, it gave me the lowest to highest because I've used that before. So, and so it's not like, well, your buyer's using it once and they have to use it every time. Your buyer uses that, it'll default to lowest to highest. That's why your price, a lot of people say, I don't have to do all these things to my listing because they're getting that low to high traffic. But I'm talking about, best match. A lot of people don't even know how to sort their listings or their search results on eBay. And those are the folks I'm trying to get at with all the enhancements we talk about. Edward McHugh says promoted items is like you are in line holding a ticket to get into the theater, but every now and then the usher takes a big crowd past you, then taking them to the front. How about going to Disneyland? Anybody here has gone to Disneyland? Now, we're not talking to the one in Florida, unfortunately. That's not open right now. But let's say Disneyland in Anaheim, they have what is called Fast Pass. And you pay a little bit. They don't
Not
have it
anymore.
anymore?
Not
But
anymore.
they did away with it? That just shows you how
Yes.
long it's been since I went. Well, they
So
had an implementation.
I think now it's called My Genie Plus or a wristband. I haven't been there in a while, but I know that they got rid of Fast Pass and now it's Genie something, and you have a specific time. It's the exact same thing, but they just renamed it now.
You set a time, but it's an additional amount you pay,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
To get at the front of the line, just like what Edward's saying. And so I wouldn't be surprised if eBay, took a trip to Disneyland and said, that's genius. Let's go ahead and have a promoted listing and charge people extra to get to the front of the line.
And the thing about that too is if you have 5% promoted and another person has 10, of course that 10% is going to go in front of you because they're promoting more.
Yeah. And eBay wants you to sell your item no matter what your promotion rate is. But I mean, it's like they want the people that are giving them more money to succeed a little bit more because that means they're making more money. It's all money. It's all comes to follow the money. That's all that it boils down to.
Yeah.
And then T-Bone Capone says, get a store if you're serious. And I think you should. So Tiffany, look into getting a store. It's an expense. Any expense that you incur to run your business, you can write off at the end of the year. Now, I'm not a CPA, and Ed isn't either, but it's definitely an investment in your business.
Plus, it's a lot more cheaper now than it was before since they upped the listing of each store before. So I was like, now it's I had what is it, the premium? It used to be only 1,000 listings. Now that same premium is 10,000 listings. So they up the listings. So you're better off getting the store now.
I think so.
And you get access to the promoted listings, the markdown sales, and all that stuff as well.
Right. No Design 2 says, hit the like people, or Ed and John will merge and turn people or purple or violet. We might. I might change some colors on you here. Ant White says Mercari feedback is automated after 3 days, and their shipping has fewer options, but way better because you never see that money, which means a savings on fees. You're not getting feed on that amount. It doesn't. It's like it doesn't exist, and I like it a lot. Unless I'm dealing with an item that's under a pound, I will then offer free shipping to the Mercari folk and have it built to my price, and just never go under a certain level. That way, I can still move for my item. So. Definitely, Mercari has a lot of things I wish eBay would implement. Unfortunately, that'll never happen. Let's see. Steven says, I'll give him a like. Flipping ain't easy, works hard at his videos and channels. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate the time you take to leave your feedback in the videos. We don't always agree, and you know what? The point of this channel isn't to always agree. There's times where someone will leave me a message, and at first I'll be like, man, that was kind of hard. But then I'll go back and I'll say, you know, they have a point. You know, maybe they're onto something here. So thank you for not only leaving your comments, but hanging out with us today on the live stream. I appreciate that. Tommy says there's probably about 20 to 50,000 returns daily. No way eBay can monitor them and fix false iron ads. They may as well close shop before hiring 300 people for that. Yeah, I agree. And it's up to each seller to kind of make sure that the rules are being followed and to fight for your own store.
And granted, I would rather want that better than TCG, whatever that TCG thing they bought.
Yeah. Jesse says, flipping ain't easy. Question for you. As a decent seller with a decent store, top-rated seller, do you recommend perhaps having an EIN number in the eBay store? Your thoughts? It's not necessary. If you're a business seller, you know what's weird is my store is still broken. So if I was to call eBay right now and ask them what kind of store I have, whether it's a personal or a business, they couldn't tell me. It's like broken. So it's kind of in between. I have some some benefits of being a personal business, and of course some benefits for being a bit. It's just weird. It's all screwed up. It's been screwed up for a while, and I just stopped messing with it. And I would say it's just really, unless you EIN, if you have an LLC where you're no longer a sole proprietor, then I would definitely have your EIN in there. But for me, it's a sole proprietor, and I don't need it.
Same.
Ant White says UPS doesn't charge your account until after the package is delivered. 2 weeks after my debit card was charged with explanation as to why. I just said transfer funds was kind of scary. Yeah, so you'll see when you're looking at the transaction. Let's say you just ran a UPS label. It won't show that account or that amount hitting your funds until that's been delivered. And it seems like they do it all like in a batch, right? So one day I may have sold $200 worth, but I have $300 in labels that's hitting that day, and it'll show a negative amount in my available balance.
And FedEx does that as well, just so you know.
Well, they'll also charge you extra fees, but we're not getting to that. I haven't had any problems with UPS. I got to tell you, they're not that far off. You know, it's even to the point where even Mercari, they have like some deal that they've made with FedEx to give some pretty good rates, right? You don't even have to put the measurements in. You just select it and use FedEx Ground. I won't use it. I'll charge my buyer $1 or $2 more to use UPS Ground because I do not want to deal with FedEx.
And I don't know if you saw my recent video jump, and now eBay is actually forcing sneaker sellers to use FedEx.
Really? Because that's
so,
how they want it delivered to the authentication?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you have to use FedEx whether you like it or not.
Wow, that's horrible. Well, that wouldn't be very good because, see, I package my stuff differently. I'm going to make a video on that. I talked to Archie today and showed him what I do. He should make a video on that because I save some money on supplies the way I do it. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's definitely something I want to make a video on. But I couldn't do it and send it FedEx, so I'd be in trouble. Thankfully, eBay is not going to need me to authenticate these art class booties that I'm getting. So that's
I hope not.
I hope not, because hopefully they don't come back as counterfeit, because who would counterfeit a $10 boot? Savage Picker says, had some sales in Florida, and obviously they haven't moved from USPS processing center. Hopefully these will be protected by eBay. Yeah, I think they will. I know that one of the viewers has sent me a message saying that they had a similar situation, and eBay is going to cover you on that. If someone is in Florida and they're opening and item not received case on you. Shame on them for not understanding that there's got to be, it's got to be because of the storm that's causing the delay. It's that communication you have with your buyer that's critical. If you ghost them, they send you a message saying, "Where's my item?" and you don't have that conversation, you're just letting them sit in the wind, then you probably deserve an item not received case. But I think eBay is going to protect you.
Mhm.
Chucky says buyers only seem to leave positive feedback when you give them the item for what they want to pay for it. Well, but again, they choose to buy your item. It's not being forced upon them. It's not like, oh boy, this guy's coming to my house again with this bag of shoes. I guess I'm gonna have to buy it, at his price. No, they're shopping. They're gonna find now. They may not like the price. They may have a need that overrides the fact. There's some things I go to Costco, and it's like, man, I'm gonna buy a bag of wings, hot wings. I like to make my wings, right? $30 for a bag of wings? Well, guess what? I don't like to pay it, but if I really want wings that bad, I'm going to do it, right?
Exactly.
So,
And I've actually gotten plenty of full priced sales, and I get a positive feedback 2 3 days later. So
yeah.
it just depends if the buyer feels like leaving a positive feedback.
And you said a key word there. Whenever it comes to sales, it's about feel.
Hmm.
And I learned this a long time ago. It's how you make the buyer feel about the purchase. Okay. If they buy an item, they have questions before they buy it, you never respond, but they buy it anyway. They get it. It's not what was in the photo. These are all things that's making the buyer feel remorse about buying the item. Now, if you're the opposite seller, you get back to them quickly, right? You point out this and that and the other thing. You get a seller that's maybe offering a discount and packaging it up in a nice way. You're doing all these things. Like there's some things that I'll do to a package that I don't really have to do, right? But it's when that buyer opens the package, they're like, wow, this seller took time to really take care of this item. It's making them feel good. And it's not just one thing. It's just it all accumulates into a good buying experience, and you're making that buyer feel good about buying your item.
Yeah, if you see say a shirt, you just see it stuffed in a poly bag versus a shirt that was maybe folded and put in the plastic and then the poly bag taken care of. Which one are you more likely to leave a positive feedback for
Right.
if they feel that you took more care of one than the other?
Exactly. And even if they weren't all that thrilled with the item, they see all the effort that you took, throughout the sale, the communication, and they may just say great communication, right? Or fast shipping. They may not really say what they want to say about the item. Most people are good people. And,
Yeah.
we see the negative feedbacks. We see the nastiness that some of these buyers put upon us, but those represent like maybe 2 to 5%. I'm saying 5%. I think that's kind of high of most people. Most people will leave you negative feedback if it's warranted, and they're not nasty like the one-footed sandal buyer person that Ed had to deal with.
Exactly.
And I wish maybe you can send them a message, say, hey, I know someone who has a single golf shoe that you might want to buy. To maybe you could wear one sandal on your left foot and the golf shoe on the right foot. So maybe
You
you can
might
do
just
that
have
for
to
them.
get rid of that one. I don't think it's gonna sell.
I don't think I'm gonna get that. I don't know. I'm just stupid. Maybe I keep it listed because out of sometimes I humor myself. We're on this eBay island, and we just do things for a chuckle, and I think that listing having the one, it's a Puma, right? Good shoe, brand
Yeah.
new, but I'm hopeful that maybe someone maybe stepped in mud or something at the golf course, and it's like, oh, I ruined my right shoe, and oh, this guy happens to be selling the right shoe that just matches my set more than the one-legged golfer, because I'd love to see that golf swing. You're not going to stay upright more often than not. So I doubt there's the one-legged golfer that's looking for a size 8 Puma.
Mhm.
So I'm going to have to relist it because I just think it's just ridiculous. I just send it to you, Ed, and you can offer to send that shoe to her to balance out.
You never know.
Uh, so no one design too says automate your feedback and forget it. Just turn that setting on to your account settings. I do. If they leave me positive, they get one back.
Oh, yeah, same.
The buy, it's just like Mercari. The buyer closes out the deal. They get it. Mercari tells them leave your feedback, or at least acknowledge that you've received it. And once I get that acknowledgement, I'll go in and just leave my 5 stars and, move on. So, Steven says the problems with INAD returns is after you get 15 or more in a quarter. And when you start selling a lot, this can happen to you. eBay will charge you that 6% in final value fees, but it's 6% in final value fees, but you're also not on page 1 anymore. They're not going to promote someone who's, below standard, no matter how much you're promoting, no matter how pristine your listing is. If you do all the things that eBay doesn't want you to do, and, that's your late shipment, that's your item not as described ratio, eBay is going to think, well, this guy doesn't have his act together, and it's just going to be a continuation of the same. So if that buyer really wants to buy that item, they better have a good price, because they're going to be stuck on page 4 if not. Genevieve Woodward says, as a buyer, I only give a feedback for exceptional service. As a seller, I don't mind if I get a feedback or not. I pride myself, and I do my best to treat my customers well. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think feedback really matters only to those who are just new, because they need that feedback. Just one negative will mess it up. But I think once you get to maybe 3, 4, 500 feedback, you don't care anymore. It's like, if you get one, awesome. If you don't, then you let it go.
Yeah. We got 11th Pokeball says hi from the UK. Appreciate that. Corey Cloud says, "Oh, how wow, I made a live. Always missed because I work nights and normally sleeping right now." Well, I'm glad that you stayed up. Appreciate you being here with us.
Appreciate it.
Chucky says, "I list the item for how much I want to sell. Anything under that on Mercari is lowballing me, because raising the price high and going low doesn't work." And you know what? My thing is this: no matter what I say on this channel, if it totally flies in the face of what you're doing and you're doing it well, then keep doing what you're doing. I just offer different perspectives, maybe something to consider down the road. Maybe you got a lot of stuff that you want to move and you don't really care how much. Like Tommy has a lot of those shoes he's just throwing away. Maybe those were $2-3 items on Mercari, right? Or send them to Ed. Send them to Ed.
Exactly. What Tommy might see as trash, I might see as like, hey, I could make money on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Niddick says, my sales on eBay have been so bad, I have no choice but cross list after 20 days. I've used to do for 30 days. And you know what? Sometimes it takes slow sales, like for me back in I think it was July, slow sales to really think, you know what? Let's give this cross listing a try. And I only wish I would have started it earlier. Honestly.
And at this point, I want to say it's a necessity, but it's highly recommended, because people who shop on Poshmark, they might not shop on eBay because of a bad experience, or they might be bad from eBay, and vice versa. You never know. So it's good to have your items in any place that you can sell it for.
Yeah, I agree. And Steven says, my sales have increased every month, 2 years now, and have not slowed. This month, for the first time, I'm going to do over 20,000, but I do not sell used items. All my items are new. And Steven, I have a couple pallets. They're all shelf pulls. They're new. And I'm definitely, if I can find the opportunity, look, I'm about making money. So if new is where it's at, a lot of overstock, right? A lot of these brick and mortar companies are getting more stock than they actually have room for. They blow them out. Hey.
And for you, John, when do you expect all this excess inventory to actually go into liquidation?
You mean from the big stores?
Yeah, because I mean that's
happening
already.
I mean, because remember all those ships that were out in port couldn't get in. They're stuck out in port for months. Well, I think they kind of cleared a lot of that up over the last 3-4 months, and you're going to see a lot of that stuff just rolling in. That's why a couple months ago the big brick and mortars are talking about taking a no return policy. So if you come back and say, I don't like this sewing machine, they'll be like, well, just here's your money back, and we don't want it back. Just we don't have room for it. And don't know if they're going to implement that. They might just do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to do something here before Christmas to beef up more people to shop with them. We have a no returns policy, but that's going to open them up to that 5% of people, and maybe that number is going to grow, because you're going to get a lot of people going to take advantage of it, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chris Wiley says, so gentlemen, which is better, promoted listings or Markdown Manager? I like both. Implement it all.
I use promoted listings more than Markdown Manager, but they're both equally good.
Yeah. Someone like Tommy will say he promotes the heck out of his listings and maybe doesn't need to do markdown, it ties in with what you're selling. It's 100%. I mean, there's some items that are so hot, you don't have to do anything. The moment you mention the word Apple something, if you have a pair of those Apple, what are they? They're the AirPods Max or whatever. You put those on at a good price. You just put it in your title. In fact, you can just put Apple AirPods Max. Don't put the color. Don't put anything. Don't put anything. Just put a good price. It's gone.
And it's just those keywords. As soon as it pops up in eBay, that person gets a notification and they go immediately to your listing to see if it's cheap enough for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then Steven says, I promote my listings at 3.1%. I believe 100% is the best way to generate sales is to list daily, even on weekends. And when you can't list on weekends, get that draft Monday through Friday. Have your draft. List 2 extra items a day, Monday through Friday. That's 10. You can launch 5 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday, and you've done your work for the day. And eBay doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Let's see. Steven says, I've never had to sale or markdown, but it depends on what you're selling. Some categories you need markdown coupons and some you do not.
If I may ask, what category do you sell on, Steven?
Okay. Well, maybe he'll answer. Let's see. I'm going down here. DJPG says, I don't like eBay and they don't like me. I saw that video. I don't think they do actually. But you know what? I like eBay. Let me just, if eBay you're watching, if you've stuck with us for an hour and 15 minutes, I like you guys. I love you guys. I like you guys enough to say thank you, eBay, for not screwing us up with all the goofy item specifics. Please unhate my account. Please do what you can to put me back to where I was, say, a week ago, because I've learned whatever lesson you're trying to teach me, and I'm very, very sorry for speaking the truth to you about eBay. Noah Design says, so you get items from Chinese suppliers new that is in the eBay catalog. Well, I don't know who gets the item, these kind of items. I get a lot of that kind of item in my pallets, unfortunately, and I put them on Mercari because there's so much competition on eBay from drop shippers that you stand really no chance. But Steven says, I bought a 16-foot box truck. I go around U.S. stores that closed due to the pandemic and bought all their inventory. I still have storage units full still. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Take advantage of it, but that's good. Good business right there.
Take advantage while it's there. I mean, at some point, you're going to pretty much buy everyone out, and then you're going to. I mean, at what point? I mean, is that business model banking on in 5 years is going to still be happening? I mean, I think it's great right now. But what would you fall back on? Let's just say it dried up in 2023. It dries up, right? How would you then choose the source at that point? I'm just curious about that. I mean, it's always good to have a backup plan. Like I'm going to go doing yard sales tomorrow, and that's not my forte, but I'm going to get out there and I'm going to supplement all this other stuff that I'm buying because you just don't know. You just don't know when that stuff's going to dry up.
For them, it probably would be liquidation. If they were used to buying stores, it might be liquidation next.
Yeah. Kid Wilson says, I sent a non-structured hat in poly mailer, and the guy sent me a nasty email that he wanted a box. It was not structured cap. That was for hiking or camping, supposed to be packable. I know you're talking about the kind that just kind of flops around at the top. I know some people like this hat. If I put this in a poly mailer, it would kind of tick someone off if it came with like a little dent in the top. I don't personally buy hats that are all dinged up. I see people have those listed. They buy these vintage hats. They put them up for sale. And they're like all dinged up and stuff. And it's like, I wouldn't want that on my head. I don't care how clean it is. So yeah, I think it does. You're going to get some people that are just picky about their hats. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Chris Wiley says a buyer's experience with any seller is imperative. Customer service needs to be exemplary, in my opinion, for my store. I know I'll do things differently, but a customer service is the name of the game. It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
The negative effect of that though is that if they have a bad experience with one seller, they're gonna think that all sellers are the same. So you could be the best seller they see in your eyes, but because of one experience, they're gonna think that you are the same as their bad experience seller.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. So let's kind of get caught up here. We're kind of getting into an hour and 20, and I want to kind of wrap this up in about 10 minutes here. let's see, a lot of good information. So check out Steven's remarks in here. He has a lot of good stuff in here. Mark Allen says, does Google own eBay as well as YouTube? Well, they own YouTube, but they don't own eBay, but they may have an agreement with eBay that makes it seem like they own them. It's like you need that white background. Otherwise, we're not going to promote your listings, on our Google shopping side. But it's just one of those agreements.
Yeah.
Not sure if I think I would probably, maybe I'm just speaking without thinking about it, but based on how eBay's being run right now, I mean, would it really hurt if Google did own eBay?
If Google listened to us smaller sellers, I have no qualms for that.
Yeah,
let it happen.
Sandra says, my sales are good for my eBay 500 item store. Lots after the weekend, which can hold me over. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I have 4 to 5 sales only. How can I make it more consistent throughout the week? Sometimes you're going to have days that you get 1 or 2 sales, and then the next day you get 10. Just keep you said the word consistent. So just keep your side of it consistent. Look at your traffic reports to validate you're getting consistent traffic. And the sales are never going to match your traffic reports, though. You just got to be consistent. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, like for me, I was listing consistently for 1 week. I stopped for 2 weeks, and then my sales dropped off dramatically.
Yeah. Let's see. Tommy says there's only 1 notification sent per day for all new listings on eBay. For saved search, it can be hours before the saved search is notified. No One Design 2 says always source inventory that is scalable, not a quick one off because it dries up then. Yeah. Like I have a 320 pairs of shoes. They're cute. Now I'm using this word for my wife because I told her these are cute shoes, and she like almost dropped what she had in her hand because I don't use that word, but I think they're kind of cute, right? So hopefully my buyers will think 50 cents a pair. It's going to be hard not to make money on that. I could probably put it at a yard sale for $2 a pair and get my money back. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kids, I haven't seen many kids shoes do well in general, but like for those kinds, I'm pretty sure Mercari or Facebook Marketplace, you would definitely sell them.
Yeah. I definitely think you're right. And let's see. Thomas says, if people struggle with eBay's basic algorithm, they wouldn't stand a chance with Google's. Probably not. Probably not. Well, Ed, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We've been on for an hour and 22 minutes, and that's kind of like where I want to leave. I think after a while, people get tired of hearing my voice and maybe fall asleep. So I want to thank you for taking the time for hanging out with me today. And, just eBay talk. That's what we want, right? Talk and answer the questions and having this discussion. Want to have you on at some point. But for those of you who are watching right now, after we're done here, go on over to Ed, the Reselling Writer channel. Check out his videos. Give him some love. Help him get to 1K. Where are you at right now?
I'm at, last I saw was at 648.
Let's help him get him over that hump. I'd appreciate that. He'd appreciate that. And that would be awesome. But is there anything that you want to say before we go?
Just, thank you, John. I really appreciate you inviting me on your channel. It's, like you said, I'm a small channel, but the fact that you notice who I am and, invited me to your channel, that just means a lot to me. I respect you a lot, and hopefully one day I can meet you in person and we can still talk more eBay with everybody else as well.
You got it. Well, guys, we didn't really talk a whole lot about the eBay seller update. I covered that in the video I put out a couple days ago. Hopefully you can go and check that out after you check out Ed's channel. I think we covered, the whole idea that eBay is now asking your buyer to, leave you any kind of feedback and that type of thing. Let's just be happy that eBay hasn't totally, I'm kind of speaking a little bit early on this, but they haven't goofed it up like they have in the last couple of eBay fall seller updates. And that's a good thing for all of us as we go into Q4, which starts tomorrow. And don't forget, use your coupons. If you have a store, use your coupons to get those supplies, but wait until like tomorrow night after I bought mine. I'd appreciate that. And, this whole thing with eBay seller updates, they happen in April, they happen in the fall, right? And we just got to learn to adapt with whatever eBay is doing, because let's just face it, we don't have control over what eBay does. And when we're dealing with these seller updates, it's yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent weekend. Ed, you have a great weekend. Carrie, if you're still watching, we'll see you tomorrow at the yard sale. Otherwise, we will talk to you guys very soon. Take it easy, everyone.
Bye, everyone.